That'll be the same day they remove this is a common law country and these are common law courts off their website, and it'll says we're now under a civil law, civil code country.
There you go. When we turn to France, there you go. When you turn to France, everything I said, throw out the freaking window and go find a common law land. There's only like maybe, I think they said there's about 183 countries in the world, maybe 200 depending on what you call a country. There's only about 10 or 12 common law countries left in the world. Everything else, everything I said, you could just throw out the window because they have to do it. Because the government believes that they have control over a man, and the people don't revolt, and people say, okay, it's for the greater good. Okay, because it's basically, you got to understand, most other countries are homogenous. They're like all French, or they're all Japanese, and they're all like, okay, it's all for the greater good. You know, 99% of the people in Japan are Japanese. They're like, okay, it's for the greater good. We're all one big family. Okay, it's for the greater good. But in this country, you're like, oh no, we're so diverse, it's scary. There's so many different nations and tribes and cultures running around this land, it's scary. So to get everybody to agree on something, that's going to be interesting. How they're going to ever conquer this country, I don't know how the hell they're going to do that. Everybody's got a different custom. Everybody's got a different system of belief. Like I said, take O.J. Simpson down to Long Beach, and he's going to walk. You take him up to Hollywood or Brentwood, California, he's going to lose. Why? It's a different belief system, a different culture. The jury's going to find him not guilty in this part of town, and he's going to find him guilty under the same damn example, same damn exhibit, same damn everything on the other side of town. Why? It's just a common law country. Now, if it's civil, he's going to be found guilty. I don't care if he does the crime here, he does it in France. He's still guilty. Civil is civil. It's uniform, one world order, one world code. No matter where you go, in a civil society, in a civil land, you know. It's funny, man. It's fun watching that. I don't remember that girl's name, man, now. But it was fun watching that girl in Italy. That girl from Seattle, whatever it was. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But her parents came back and said, man, everything's backwards. They said she had to prove she wasn't guilty. They said the cops came and said nobody else could have done it but her. That's what her name is. Amanda Knox. Amanda Knox, something. I think it was Amanda Knox. I know her last name was Knox. Cynthia Knox, Cindy Knox, Amanda Knox, something like that. But her parents came back and said, holy crap, in a civil code world, you're guilty. And you have to prove that you're innocent. They said it's completely backwards. Then they were like, during the O.J. Simpson trial, Marshall Clark had to prove O.J. was guilty. Well, if O.J. did this in Italy, or in a civil code world, well, Marshall Clark would have said, there's no doubt about it, he's guilty. My word is my bond. I said I'm the prosecutor with the state. Everybody in the country says that he's guilty. Now, prove you didn't do it. So it was funny, that poor Amanda Knox girl, she had to say, they were like, well, it happened at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the cop said, when she got to court, it's like, what do you mean? You didn't hear your roommate screaming? Anybody would have heard her screaming. You know, she was strangled for like 73 minutes. You tell me you didn't hear her screaming? It's like, no, I didn't hear her screaming. See, in this country, you just say, no, I didn't hear her. And they go, oh, okay, next question. Over there, it's like, oh, well, you're lying. You know what? Anybody would have heard it. You're guilty. You're going to jail. It's like, what? I told you I didn't hear you. Well, you know what? We think you're lying. We figure you heard it. So, like I said, thank God we still live in a country and a nation that still has common law, and the customs of the jury that we're going to sit in front of. They're our judges, and for however long we're going to be allowed to have such a wonderful culture. You know, I'm grateful as hell. Because I was telling that to Larry the other day. I said, you know what, did you ever watch that Will Smith movie about Muhammad Ali? And I said, man, they did a real disservice to Muhammad Ali and to this country at the end of the movie. At the end of the movie, they stopped with Will Smith, Muhammad Ali beating George Foreman and Zaire. I said, why didn't they roll the film for another 5 minutes? Because when Muhammad Ali landed in JFK, the first thing he did when he came off and stood on the tarmac is he got on his knees and he kissed the ground. and the newspaper reporters were all over there, and they said, "Oh, what do you think of the great motherland or fatherland, the great Zaire, the great continent of Africa? What do you feel about the great people and culture and civilization?" He said to the Times reporters and New York Post reporters there at JFK, he says, "I don't know who the man was who shackled my grandfather and threw his ass on a slave ship and dragged his ass over here kicking and screaming. God bless that man. Because those folks back in Africa, they are crazy. This is a wonderful nation, this is a wonderful land, and it's a bunch of wonderful people." He said, "God bless America." That's how they should have ended the movie. That's how they should have ended that Muhammad Ali movie. Because I was a kid when he landed and I saw that on the news. That really impressed me. When that man realized the difference between Africa and America, even though he's black, even though he was raised to believe that, dragging over here and the slaves and all that was so horrible and evil, he said, "God bless that man who ever made my grandpappy get on that boat. God bless that man. Because I live in a wonderful land with a lot of opportunities. And it's all what you want to make of yourself." So I wish they'd rolled the film just a tiny, tiny bit further. And then ended it. And then it probably would have raised up all the black folks who were in the movie theaters watching it and saying, "Oh my God, we do really have opportunities in this nation, don't we? It isn't as bad as people make this out to be, is it? We're not victims if we don't wish to be." So it would have been nice if they just rolled it just a little bit further. But, they got their agenda. For some reason, they stopped the film before he landed in JFK. I was really disappointed. I was like, "Oh wow, this is the scene where he's going to come into JFK airport. Oh wow." And then they start rolling the credits. I was like, "Oh my God, what a ripoff. What a disservice to everybody around the world watching this movie." I said, this is a shame.